With Red Dead Redemption 2 being almost 3 weeks old now, you've probably already completed the main storyline for the game, or if not, you are probably very close to completing the main storyline for the game, and you might be asking yourself, well, what happens to the Van der Linde gang after the story? What happens to these characters that just seemingly disappear and that we don't hear from anymore? Well, today we actually have 6 secret encounters within Red Dead Redemption 2 that's going to give you some backstory on the gang after the game ends. So if you haven't yet completed the game, now is your spoiler warning and time to click away from the video. But if you have completed the game and want to know what happens to characters like Marybeth, Leopold Strauss, Reverend Swanson, well, today I'm going to show you where in-game you can actually catch up with members of the old gang. And also, if y'all haven't done so yet, click the link at the top of the description to enter my Red Dead Redemption 2 giveaway for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. You actually have 2 days left before the giveaway ends. And with all that being said, if you learn about at least one brand new secret encounter from this video that you didn't previously know about, well, hopefully I can earn your thumbs up and your subscription. Number 6, Tilly Jackson. We can actually encounter her sitting on a bench outside a park in Saint Denis, and upon seeing her, the first recognizable trait is that, well, she's pregnant, and she's very happy to see us. She tells us how she's married to a lawyer now, and she has a house, and how she is super happy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm well and happy, and I miss you and Abigail.
She's well. Jack's well. All is well, I think. I never thanked you for what you did.
Oh, there's the trolley. I still think about all of you all the time. My life, it's different now.
Mine too. But I still see a bunch of Charles and Uncle and Sadie. So, not quite so different as Abigail would like.
I married a lawyer. He's a fine man. We live in a house.
Us too.
I'm sorry, I've got to go. I'm late, but can I write to you and Abigail someplace?
Yeah, we're up at Beecher's Hope, over in Great Plains, West Elizabeth.
I'll try. Be well, John Marston.
Number 5, Marybeth Gaskell. We can actually come across her sitting on a bench outside the train station in Valentine. And, well, upon talking to her, we find out that she is now the author of romance novels. Such a big turnaround to the life she lived just a few years before. And she also goes by the pseudonym Leslie DuPont. And what's crazy is that when asking about Arthur, John says that he doesn't talk about Arthur much, but he does think of him a lot. And this is a really nice explanation as to why Arthur isn't mentioned in Red Dead Redemption 1. Obviously, RDR1 came out 8 years before RDR2, and Arthur probably wasn't even written into the story at all in any way, shape, or form. And that's why he's not mentioned in the game. That's the logical reason. But the reason that Rockstar gave us in-game, which is nice, is that, well, John just doesn't talk about him much. He just thinks about him, and it's a very personal subject for him.
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Abigail, is she?
She's well. Jack's growing up.
Sweet boy.
Not anymore. But he's okay. How are you?
I'm well. I write now. Silly romances, but it's fun. Oh, it's such fun.
Do you?
My pen name is Leslie DuPont. Sort of French, sort of ambiguous. Well, the books are unambiguously awful, but they sell.
Good for you. I'm so proud.
I still think about you all. That was quite a time.
Yeah. Arthur saved my life before he passed. I don't talk about him much, but I think about him.
Me too. And Dutch?
Ran off someplace.
All aboard!
Such a shame.
Last call!
Oh, anyway, John, I better get on my train. It's really lovely seeing you. Oh, here. It's for you.
Thank you. Take care now.
Bye!
Number 4, Pearson. We can actually come across him in the Rhodes General Store, which he now owns and operates. And upon coming in, he's very surprised to see us because he mentions that he thought that we were dead, just like we thought everybody else in the gang was dead. And John and Pearson just do a little catching up and go their own separate ways.
John Marston? I don't believe it! I thought you were dead.
Pearson, what are you doing here?
Welcome to my store. How can I help you?
Are you serious?
Yeah! Beats the old butcher's table, doesn't it? So what can I get for you today, sir? How the hell are you?
Pretty good. Got some land in Great Plains. Trying to get a small ranch going.
Really? Wow, good for you. Staying out of trouble then?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm trying.
Well, I'm at a loss for words.
Number 3, this is definitely one of the more sad encounters, and it's also an indirect counter because in the mission Bare Knuckle Friendships, where we go and rescue Charles in Saint Denis, well, we find out the fate of Leopold Strauss. And even though Leopold Strauss was the mastermind behind the Vanderlinde gang loan sharking operation, he wasn't involved as much in the brutal killings and things like that everybody else was. And well, unfortunately, Leopold Strauss was picked up by the Pinkertons. They apparently made a real mess of him, and he died in custody, never saying a word.
Since before I got off Sisika.
They picked up Strauss. The agents. Made a real mess of him. I heard he died in custody. Never said a word.
Guess some folk is strong in ways you can't see.
Number 2, Reverend Swanson. This is actually one of the cooler indirect encounters because this guy, who is a big mess, he was going through a midlife crisis while he was running with the Dutch Vanderlinde gang. Well, he is a true success story and he turns his life completely around. The last time we see him is in the mission, The Fine Art of Conversation, where at the end of this mission, we just encounter him getting on a train and leaving for good. And like I said, this guy was going through a midlife crisis. He was just having a tough time. And after we beat the game, if we actually go to Blackwater and purchase the 74th issue of the Blackwater Ledger, which is the newspaper in Blackwater, well, we can read an article about Reverend Orville Swanson, who turned his life completely around. He moved to Ohio, became an assistant pastor, moved to New York, became an assistant pastor, and he even mentions a dark period of his life where he didn't attend church and he had fell into sin and despair. He mentions that in this article, and that's obviously when he was running with the Vanderlinde gang, but it's so great to see this torn down character turn his life all the way around.
With you.
And number 1, this is quite possibly the saddest of them all, and it's Rains Fall, who we can encounter outside of the Annesburg train station. And he remembers us being friends with Arthur. He asks what happened to Arthur, and he kind of already knows. But he goes on to say how he and his tribe or his family moved to Canada, and he's here because he is still sad about his son's death all these years later. And that's honestly very heartbreaking, just seeing this older gentleman who is still mourning the death of his son after all of these years.
You a long time ago.
I don't know.
With Arthur Morgan.
Oh, yes.
My name is Rainsfall.
And I'm Jim Milton. John Marston.
Oh. Is Arthur,
He passed away a long time ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He saved my life. He gave his.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
And you? I know you had tough times.
Well, my people aren't really a tribe. We're just a bunch of families, I suppose. But we're in Canada now. It's,
What are you doing here?
I don't really know. My son, I suppose. Oh, he fell.
I know. I'm sorry. I've got a son. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it was a long time ago now. Well, it's good to see you, Mr. Marston.
And you.
And well, those are 6 secret encounters that you can actually come across after you complete the main storyline for Red Dead Redemption 2. Things like these are always amazing because it kind of ties up loose ends and just kind of gives you some sort of peace of mind if you had any questions about certain characters after the main storyline ended. But with that said, that's all the time we have for today. If you learned about at least one new secret encounter in Red Dead Redemption 2 from this video that you didn't previously know about, well, hopefully I can earn your thumbs up and your subscription. But with that said, I'm Zach Cox. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I hope to see ya in the next video.